Good morning, everybody. It's Tuesday, 18th of July, 2023. My name's Anil. This presentation is for education purposes only and not intended as investment advice. Please do take a moment to read the risk disclaimer. It's important that you do, that you understand trading is risky, and that anything that we're going to talk about today is really not investment advice, and it's just really to help you with some education. Here's myself. Those of you who haven't been to my previous webinars, my name's Anil, Head of Trader Education at Zenfinex. Been doing this a long time, both algo and discretionary trading. I also teach and mentor students. So the agenda for today is we're going to do some top-down market analysis. I'll also be taking requests for anybody that's interested in me looking at their charts, or looking at setups, or really any question that you might have that might help you on your own journey. We're also going to look at any news impacts today and the rest of the week, just to see where we've got to be careful when important fundamental news is released. I'm also going to show you how to get access to the free Zenfinex Plus tools, which are really good, and I think it's free, so have a look around and see if any of them are useful in your own trading. There are videos on how to use these particular tools, and I'm going to probably cover a couple of them today. The URL is plus.zenfinex.com. As I said and repeat, it's free. Have a look around, see if any of the tools might be useful to you. I'm going to cover the economic calendar, the technical views and featured ideas, as well as looking at charts for market structure and trading opportunities today. And really, how to access is really simple. It's let's just go straight to charts and have a look. Let's start by looking at news first, see what's coming up today. So we're in the Zenfinex portal, which is free, and it has a number of tools. I won't have time to cover all of them, but they're all there to help you with your own trading, whether it's videos or whether it's sentiment indicators and technical views. Let's just focus on the economic insight, which is really a economic calendar, but has some pretty cool features in terms of doing some analysis on upcoming news. So as we said, today is the 18th. We have some retail sales month on month, year on year in the US at 1:30 London time. Keep an eye out for that. That's going to move markets probably. I'm not sure there's going to be that much difference from forecast. Obviously, with higher inflation everywhere, they're expecting a dip, in retail sales, which is natural. And we have some Canadian news, PPI, inflation rates, which will be interesting to see, given, we had some news out of Bank of England last week. So keep an eye out on inflation, because overall, what we're looking for is there a reduction in inflation, which will obviously have an impact on interest rates, etc. And it's worth just keeping an eye, because we can maybe get a bit of a heads up in terms of, inflation, for example, in the UK tomorrow, expecting a drop, still very high. Interest rates are stable, stroke might go up one more time. Some of the analysts are forecasting another increase, but it will depend on if inflation, has been tamed, has been, reduced, if you like. And that's tomorrow, by the way. So housing starts again. We're looking at really what's coming up this week in terms of what might impact our trading. And, some unemployment data. We'll look at more of these as the week sort of progresses. But, the main ones that I'm going to be looking at really is the GBP inflation rate tomorrow. Very key number, forecasting a drop. And I'll just show you some of the tools that can help us figure out what might happen once that news has been announced. So this is quite a cool tool, which you can look at what happened last time round. Last time this news was announced in June 21st, actual was higher than forecast, and that had an impact on the British pound 4 hours after the event. I won't spend too much time on this because I know a lot of you come here for some charts, so let's have a look at those. And when I get time, I'll come back to technical views, which is really to aid you in looking at how other analysts are looking at these markets with some trading ideas that might sort of, and see if it sort of chimes with your own analysis. And I'm going to go straight to charts. So let's, we're going to focus really on British pound and some of the indices and gold. So let's just start with gold first. So last week, Tuesday, Thursday, we started looking at this, not started looking at the channel. Channel's been here some time, but it's interesting how it's still hugged the top of the channel, starting to form some resistance here. We've got a little bit of resistance higher up, and that's kind of making the price of gold going sideways a little bit. What I am going to do is, as I do every single time, is get rid of all these lines and start again and do a top-down approach. This is really to get you into the habit also, because if you just pull up a chart and start staring at it, you're not really focusing on some of the key areas that might be important to your own trading. I know this makes everybody cringe when I do this, but let me just delete everything. Right, so we start from a weekly chart. Let's go for a daily chart. Strange spike there. I apologize. That's a data rather than actual market price. Let's start drawing in some daily lines to see where we are in terms of framing the market, right? So we've got this level here, which we're watching. And again, I have explained why I do it at these two peaks rather than the top. Have a look at the previous videos, and we have this level here. So this is our frame, right, from a daily perspective. And what we're also going to now do is get a bit closer and see if there are any other levels that might be interesting to us. In fact, ironically, there's one exactly where price is at the moment. If you see this green line, current price is at 9. Let's just put the 1961 there. But what we can see here is that's precisely where markets turned last time, messed around, bounced off here, hit the top of the resistance, and clearly this price is important, right? So we're looking at seeing how price will react to this. So we're looking at a daily chart. We're seeing some support here, we're seeing some resistance here. We're also seeing, and the 4 hourly will pick up some of these other levels. So let me go down to the 4 hourly level, and we'll start getting closer to price and seeing if there are any trading opportunities that might be worth looking at or actually taking. Right, so I've drawn those lines in. We can see price just a little bit above this resistance level here. Hit it, couldn't get much past it. It's trying to make a go of it now. We had this big move over the last, from sort of 11th of July onwards, and we can see that it bounced off this level of support and did its usual up and down moves. Let's draw our channel, as I always do, and see if we can't look at some turning points which might aid us in looking for trading setups. So, right, we've got our channel here, we've got some resistance, we've got a little bit of resistance above. Let's see if there's anything else. So we've got these peaks here that we need to be looking out for. So here, what we're looking at is And I'm just going to adjust this to get a little bit more close to it, because it could be a level that we could trade off. So I want to try to get as accurate as I can. And again, what I'm trying to do is not necessarily hit the top of those levels, but really, you know, by eye, looking to see which part of the body or the candle, you know, it's resisting. So all these peaks here, right? The candle didn't close above these, right? So we can go a little bit lower, and now we're starting to see where prices are closing exactly at this level here. So now we can see, you know, 1965 will be a level where in the past, give or take a few, you know, points, it bounced off. And what is also interesting is as we are approaching these same levels again, right, bounced off here, bounced off the bottom of the channel, hitting the top of the channel and going sideways. So let's start drawing it in our area. Remember, this is a 4-hourly. We'll go down to, you know, smaller time frames in a second. And we can see here, and I'm actually going to put another line here, because again, resistance, broke through it, used it as support, bounced off it. So clearly, and I think I mentioned 1930 in my last video. So around here, and look, it bounced straight off that level, and, you know, trying to get back up to 1965. And what we're looking really for is these turning points here. If I magnify this a little bit here, right, we can clearly see that there's strength, right? Because every time it's hit the bottom, it's come up, it's bounced off this level of support. There is some resistance here, and I might just look to see what happens. So what I'll be looking to do is I'll be looking to see how price behaves at 1965. I'll be looking to see whether price, let's draw it in, sort of hits it. Oops. It's, right, or is it going to hit that and come back down? Given that there's so much strength here, you know, the next level that we're going to be looking for. So we're really looking to see, and I'm going to get rid of these because we're right at these levels here, which is really interesting. So what we're going to do is watch this a little. We're going to watch this a little bit and just see if there are any trading opportunities here. So we had this line here before. Sorry for the lines disappearing, but you know, you'll remember, you know, it's bounced off the bottom of the channel and it's the top of the channel. And what I'm really looking to do is to see if these tops get taken out, because clearly there'll be some liquidity here, right? Let's just put that in now, right? There'll be people with breakout orders, and there'll be the people that took a short with some stop losses here. So there'll be a fair amount of liquidity up here. And if I go up to here, we're going to watch to see what happens. And one of two things is going to happen, right? It's either going to break through here and close, and now I'm going to start going to the hourly time frame, right? So we want to start seeing turning points at a much smaller time frame, right? So we've drawn all these from bigger time frames. The reason why we've got this orange box here is because we believe there are stops and breakout orders on the top of this at sort of 1962, 64, 65, right? So what we want to see is how does price behave when it breaks these. So it's interesting that we're right at this moment in time, right? We're only, you know, less than a point away. So let's squeeze this up a little bit again. And remember, what I'm looking to do is to see, is the price going to break these tips here and come back down, or is it going to break? And let's get really precise now. This is a precise level now at 1963.52. So we're looking to see if this closes above this price here, it means it's taken out this liquidity. By taking out the liquidity, we'll get an idea whether it's a continuation, right? It's just knocked all these people out and this uptrend is going to continue from the hourly perspective, or it's going to knock them out and then reverse. And if it reverses, where could it come to, right? It could come all the way back down to these levels here because, again, using, some very basic market structure approaches, there's going to be, and by the way, feel free to ask any questions that you might have, but I'm actually going to be watching this quite closely now because we're already at the body. What I mean by body, the candle bodies here, and it's these wicks that will be very interesting to see. Looks like there's strength, and if we just look at some levels here which may indicate other things, so let's just have a look. So prices came down, right? And if I go further back here, it knocked out anybody that may have had a stop here. Prices moved up in the last few hours. I say last few hours, it's a good 16, maybe even 18 hours here. Broken this level here, right? So it's clearly broken that, and now we're waiting for a break of this. Once we have a break of this, then the next move will be very crucial. Will it go through here, bounce back, and then go in the upward direction, or is it going to still maintain this level of resistance, right? Because it's been resistance for really from the 12th of July, 13th of July, right? So we're at 18th, been in this sort of range, obviously trading opportunities within this range, but now we're at a crucial level. And if you don't mind, I might just watch this rather than go to some other charts. Is that okay with everybody? Yep. Any questions so far? None. Okay, so what are we saying here, right? This previous high got taken out. This particular high is just about to be taken out, but I'm more interested in the top one, because if I now go back to 4 hourly, we can see here that it hasn't been able to get above this price, as we just said, from sort of 11th, 12th of July, and we want to see if there's a continuation. I won't bother putting the channel in, but maybe I will. But let's just put that channel back in because I accidentally removed it. And what the channel will do, and these other levels of resistance will act as, targets basically. So we are looking for a buy, but that would depend on whether it closes above this level here, and we can then go to some shorter time frames to see if there's a continuation up. And I do remember there's another level which we just need to be careful of up here, which I managed to delete accidentally. So look, we can see here a lot of interaction with price, interaction, 82. There's also some interaction here. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to map out potential turning points, right? So I think we were a little bit lower when we had this previous line, within a few points. Right, so now let's get back to the shorter time frame. And let's see what's happening, right? So we've now, from top down, built up a picture, built up an idea that we are going to look for these levels to possibly be broken, because once this breaks, there's a very high probability that it will get back up to this level here, 1982. And we won't know that until the behavior, but everything kind of is telling me that it wants to break this 68 and go up to here. So I'm just going to watch this for a few minutes, if you don't mind. Obviously, these are live prices, live markets, so we don't obviously know what's going to happen next. Let's just watch this for a little bit. And if I go down to even smaller time frames, 15-minute, it gives that same picture that we just looked at, where this level has been broken. I drag that across. Right, this was an important level because prices came up, smacked it, came all the way down, took out the liquidity at the bottom, and has been winding its way up. And if we just look very, very closely, right, even on a small time frame, we can see that this 63.52 is what it's trying to get to. And what we need to do is to see, will it close above the 1963 or will it close below it? And that will then give us some idea whether, and areas where we may be looking to buy this. And I'm very much at the moment looking to see if it's going to go higher rather than a retrace, because everything's telling me that it's trying to go higher. We'll watch this for a few more minutes, and if it doesn't do too much, then we'll obviously have to come back to it, because I don't want to just have you guys just staring at charts, but these are the areas that I'm looking at. And as I said, just to reiterate, if it closes above this 1963.52 and it retests, there's a good chance that it will come and revisit 68, and they'll, through partial exits and what have you, this is probably the higher time for a higher price that it's looking to get to. But right now, there just isn't enough to sort of push it through. For the last few hours, it took some liquidity away here, grabbed some liquidity, started its move up, broke this high here, and now we're stuck below these levels here. And that's going to be really interesting to see what happens. Because what often happens is that once it's broken this this level of resistance, it'll come back down and it will give us another opportunity to take it long. And this is where experience comes into it, and looking at charts over a long period of time, because obviously we don't know what's going to happen next. It's live prices, so there's no replay or anything like that. It is where it is right now. So let's just watch for another minute or two. It's 23. Let's give it 2 more minutes. In fact, if we go to a 5-minute chart, right, in 2 minutes' time, this candle will have closed. I'm not going to do anything on this candle, because for me, I've focused my mind now on 1963.52. Is it going to smack it and come back down, or is it going to break it, retest, and then continue going up? That's all I'm looking at right now. And if it doesn't make it to this level, it might mean that it hasn't decided to make it right now, and it might come back to these levels here before. In fact, if I draw a channel here, now I don't really like drawing channels in 5 minutes. That's ridiculous. Let's go to 15 minutes. And this is where patience, comes into play, because temptations are always there. You see, a red bar or a green bar, and you think, okay, that's what I want to be doing. But what we're doing is we're looking at the structure of gold prices and seeing who is in control. Is it the buyers or the sellers? And are the buyers and sellers looking to take this, or the buyers looking to take it to these levels here? Or is it really to collect liquidity at 1963 and above, and then bring prices all the way back down, knocking out these levels here, this one here? And right now we can't tell, right? It's impossible to tell, because we need to see these candles either break above here or completely reject it. I have a feeling it's going to break that but it's how it breaks it is what I'm really looking at. Look, it's 8:25. I don't think we can keep looking at this chart for much longer because I've got other stuff to cover. But, you know, in your own time, actually, we've got a question here. Let's see if I can answer the question. Do sessions of London and US reverse effects on trading London up? Yeah, you know, look, Raj, why don't you, I mean, I would always suggest you do some back testing on that, right? Because you're right, different sessions, because we all know, right, there's three main sessions, right? There's the Asian session, which is, and I'm going to talk in London terms, right? So wherever you are, adjust that. So as the Asian market closes, London starts opening, so you get a bit of a crossover, right? And really, once London is opened, and if we look at, you know, from an hourly perspective, we can see this really is showing how London has picked up the pace where Asia was probably quite subdued. It's gone up. And when the US opens, given that we have some news coming out tomorrow, it's probably tomorrow that we're going to get some sort of effect. And now, it's a good question about reversing, because in the past I have created algos which look at these levels and do reverse back into Asian time. So what I'm really trying to say is you have the Asian range, you have the London, which kind of breaks out of it. And often what happens, and don't quote me, right? The New York price will come back down to the Asian before it bounces back up again. I don't know if you've seen that yourself, but it's just a phenomenon of, you know, the three different trading groups, if you like. And although it's a 24-hour market, you know, there are different sets of traders, if you like, in different regions. I would say London is probably the most popular time zone. And the fact that you've asked that question and we're still on gold, let's watch gold for a little bit longer. I'm sorry if I'm, and look, so right now, exactly what we're talking about, right? We're coming up to this 1963 level, 52. And remember, what we're trying to see is, oops, sorry, let me go to 15 minutes. 5 minutes to such a small time frame. In 2 minutes, this 15-minute candle will break as well. So look, just wait a second. So right at this level here, right, we're going to see what happens when it takes out this liquidity, which we just talked about for the last 10 minutes or so, which is system. I'm on the short time frame, that's why. Let's go back to hourly. Right, so these are the levels that it's targeting, basically, right? That level here, that level here, that level here. So this level is almost exactly where we are right now. And what we need to do is to see, did it take it out, right? So if I even accurately measure the high of that by putting my cursor over it, I can see that 1963.52 was the high price, right? And we're just literally points away from it. And I think what it's done, it's touched it, but it hasn't closed above it. So let's just look at this in real time. So we're watching this in real time, which is probably the best way of doing it rather than, so look what it's done. It actually hasn't got to that level here, and prices have retreated. Now, where is it going to retreat to, right? So we talked a few minutes ago about some liquidity being at these levels here, right? So there's probably some here, there's definitely some here, and there's definitely some here, right? So what we're looking to do is, the fact that it hasn't broken it this time, it doesn't mean, right, that it won't break it in the next 15 minutes or the next 30 minutes. So we are now really focused on this price here. It turned exactly at this level here. We were looking to see prices close above here for us to go long. The fact that it hasn't means that we have to be a bit more patient and just wait for this 1963.52 level to break. Tried to touch it, came back down. We've got a new 15-minute bar coming on now, and we're going to watch to see if that breaks. So I do apologize for all the people watching. I haven't covered other charts, but we're at a really interesting level, and I think it's worth watching to see how to analyze it and really to get your mind right, because too often it can create some excitement. You know, you see a green candle, and you want to just get straight in, right? We've got to avoid that. You've got to look for levels where prices, you know, are going to come back down to. So where could they come back down to? Well, if it closes above here, we're going to look for a retest. And if this now goes into this level here, you know, and knocks out all these stops, which is just about to do. So let's just watch price. And you'll forgive me, but I'm just going to go to open, high, low, close. Hopefully you can see that. But I find that much more useful in terms of closing price, right? So look, we're exactly at the level we just talked about. Now what we want to see is, are stops being taken out? Because people who have stops or breakout traders, they'll all be considering what to do right now. Do they get in? Do they get out? Do they think it's going to go up? Do they think it's going to go down? And that's the collective thinking, if you like, of people trading gold at this moment in time, right? So they obviously for short-term trades, I'm talking about longer-term traders. So look, it just took out all those stops, all those stop orders and breakout orders. And as I always say, I don't rush in right now, right? Because to rush in, how many times have you seen this? It comes all the way back down. And, you know, if you have a stop here, it might even come back, you know, to hit some of these stops. So what I'm looking to do now on this, and I will go back to 15 minutes, right? So I'll wait for the 15-minute bar to close. It's broken the level that we've drawn. I won't go back to where it is, you know where it is. And we're going to see over the next, 13 minutes, is it going to stay there, or is it going to create a reversal bar? And right now, what it's doing, it's taken out liquidity, right, from the stop losses and from the breakout orders, right? So people who are waiting with their button to press the button when it got to this level and now slightly underwater, right? So they've grabbed that liquidity and now they're kind of underwater. So price will probably come down and try to knock out some of the stops, because think about trading in a slightly different way. Think about it is that if you had taken this order, where would your stop loss be, right? Your stop loss either would be a number of pips below this or at a pivot point. Pivot point, I think we drew this on a different time frame. So these levels are now exposed, because if you've got your stop loss here and you've now pressed the button because you saw 1963 get broken, you're underwater, right? And your stop loss is the only thing that's going to protect you. What is market going to do? It's going to chase it, right? It's going to come back down to here to try to knock out these orders until such time that it sees, and I'll go back to candlesticks. Really, I only showed you the open, high, low, close, just to show you a clearer picture of what was happening right here. So let's go back to candles, right? So this is what I was trying to suggest to you, is that we have to wait for it to close, because if we just jump in on this, we're now underwater and we're probably going to get stopped out. So this is the fake outs that sometimes people talk about, right? Just put in the chat if you've ever done that. You've taken a breakout above a level of resistance, and no sooner have you taken it, it pulls you back down, stops you out, and then it continues going up. Because remember, the trend is up, but it's trying to knock out people who are the breakout traders. They put their orders here, and the stop loss orders, they're kicking themselves because they thought they were safe by putting their stop loss here. That's just been taken, right? So what it will probably do is come back down, and then it will then have another go, because this liquidity is gone now. All that liquidity there, gone. Either stopped out or the breakout orders. So the next breakout orders, the people who are holding breakout orders, they're going to get stopped out probably around here, depending on obviously where they put their stops. And I'm really talking about short-term traders. I'm not talking about institutional plays or anything like that. It's just literally the short-term trades. I'm sorry in advance that I've just been covering this one pair and I haven't covered anything else, but this is happening in real time, right? And we've been talking about it, and it's done almost exactly what we predicted it would do. Remember, there's a level at 1961. This was a level of resistance. Is it going to come back to test this and then continue on its journey? Or is it going to come back? Remember, I'm of the view that this is going to keep going up. So I'm looking for opportunities to buy this now, even though, right, we've got this level here. This is to take out liquidity. Now we're looking to see, and there'll be some liquidity here, right? There'll be liquidity here. And if we can get our entry price around these levels here and it continues going up, right, that's really where we want to be. Let's just a question here. Thank you for that. Does pivot points can be used in trading, and how? Okay, so pivot points are really to do with a medium price of support and resistance, which is calculated. I tend not to use them. In fact, I'll reiterate, all I use is what you're seeing right in front of me right now. I don't have anything else. I don't have indicators. I just look at levels and how price has reacted to those levels for me to jump in, with my, I took a trade yesterday. I'll just show it to you. I don't know if I can show it to you here, but I took a trade yesterday. Let's go to yesterday. I only took one trade, and I took a 1% trade. Let's just get to that. Yeah. Sometimes I have to go to like 3 days history rather than just 1 day. So let's just do that. Right, so we took a few trades. I think it was yesterday or Thursday. Few losing trades, but my winning trade smashed to pieces the losing ones, right? So I had stop losses everywhere, lost a small amount, lost a small amount, lost a small amount, and then my larger trade, because I was confident of the levels, brought it back to the 888s basically. So that was just, I think it was yesterday or Friday, I can't even remember. I think it was yesterday. Yeah. So do remember, right, this is where risk management is really important. Make sure you have stops. I have stops here, and I have targets. I had a stop here. So it's all about risk management and making sure that you follow your plan. So look, it's doing exactly what we said it was going to do. Exactly, in the sense that if it had closed above here, we would have taken a buy. Look, we drew this level in here because they're after liquidity, right? They want to find buy orders. So the guys that were breakout, they put their stop loss here or here, and they'll come and chase that. And once they've got enough on their side, they'll have another crack at it. And again, I don't think I answered your question about pivot points. I'm going to give you the best indicator on earth, right? It's so valuable, it's cherished, right? And you have it and I have it. It's called your eyes. Once you start putting, moving averages or this or that and the other, you subcontracted your eyes to something else, because your focus now is on a moving average or an oscillator. And therefore, it takes time, right? But just stare at prices. It's ironic and silly how often the same thing happens over and over and over again. And as a trader, that's golden, right? Because when things happen over and over and over again, that's when you want to strike. That's when you want to, jump in, basically. So look, we drew this line here, knocked it out, right? I think there will be a turning point, and it'll be in this region here. Let me see if I can give you some indications. And again, stops are imperative. In fact, I don't think I can give you that, because I'll get in trouble if I start giving you precise entry levels. But I can see where the entry, I can see where my target is going to be, and I can see where my stop loss is going to be. And I'm more than happy to share that with you. If you want to email me, I'll show you my logic, how I do that. Now, I'm going to ask you guys a question. Do you want me to continue looking at gold, or do you want me to look at some of the tools? I can do both. Just put yes, just put T for tools and C for charts, and I'll go by democratic vote, basically. Got a few ones here. Gold, 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 gold. Okay, so majority decision is let's stick with gold, right? So I'm going to probably look at this for another 4 minutes, because I've got to cut off at 45 minutes. What's happened, right? So upward channel, hit this level of resistance. The level of resistance was, and I'll go back to the hourly, so those of you who come a bit late, right, was these levels here, right? Precisely to the pip, to the pip, to the pip, to the pip, right? Nothing magical. And now that this 15-minute, or sorry, this 1 hour candle, if, for example, this 1 hour candle closes looking like this, that's quite a big reversal signature, basically, of a candlestick. But I would still be looking to see if I could be buying around here, basically, for 2 or 3 reasons. One, bottom of the channel, and this is where we broke this level here, right? So we got this level of resistance here and here, broke through. What we're looking to do is, will it retest, come back here, and then continue its journey up? So I won't be able to stay here all this time, but I'm actually going to continue looking at gold and looking at this level and seeing what happens. But can you see how that candle is looking now? It's crazy, really. Can everybody see that? You can hardly see the wick. The wick wicked out and took a load of liquidity out and immediately retreated, took some, probably the intraday traders stops out, those who were waiting for a breakout, knocked them out, and now it's starting to go back up again. So we're going to watch this for another 3 or 4 minutes, and then I'll continue watching this. But unfortunately, I'll have to limit this webinar to 45 minutes. And believe me, this happens day in, day out. And I would encourage you, really to use price action, market structure as a way to refine your trading. If you have to use indicators and stuff like that, in my humble opinion, they don't really help you, and perhaps they hinder you. Right, so let's just see. Yeah, I think it's going to come back down to here before we can get a buy. For example, if I go back to the hourly candle, where the hourly candle closes is going to be critical. Because remember, there's 15 minutes left. It could go all the way back up to the top and turn into a green candle. We're looking at it, right now, and there's still time for this candle to close. It could even close above here. I doubt it, but it could do, right? So close of candles is also important. Try not to just jump on when you see something, because I can guarantee you, I think, that when this bar started to go up above here, people pressed the buy button thinking, let me get in because I'm seeing this candle go, in the upward direction, and we're looking, to sort of get round to here. But what it's done is it's immediately turned around, and that's what psychs traders out, inexperienced traders. Look, I apologize. I haven't been able to cover any of the tools. We've been watching gold in real time, and I'll be back on Tuesday. Let's see how this works out. Let's see if it indeed breaks above this level and then continues on up its journey, or is it going to come back down to these levels here to take this liquidity before it continues going up. So on that note, if there is any questions, please put them in the question box now, because I'm going to have to leave in about a minute's time. Any questions? Okay, I'm going to call it a day. Thank you for attending. I hope you found it interesting, but this is real live, real time, analysis. And I think if you can, we are going to have a trading room, but that's still being planned, where I'll be able to do live trades in front of you. But for this type of video, it's only for education purposes only. So there's no more questions. Thank you very much for attending, and see you on Thursday.